You're about to see some things that are going to change how you look at some of these sports logos for the rest of your life. Happy hobby. I'm Dave Ganas, and if you're a sports card collector working with limited budget, this is the YouTube series for you. But today, we're not talking sports cards, we're talking sports logos. I've always been a big fan of logos. I've always wondered how they come up with the origin. I don't know, I'm just a big fan of it. It's an interesting thing to me. So today, we're going to talk about some of the greatest sports logos with the hidden things that are inside those logos that you may not have known about. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a bunch you probably do know because you're intelligent, but there's some in here I guarantee you don't know. I bet you there's a couple in here that you did not know the hidden things that were in these logos. So first, when I talk about logos, let's talk about some of the classic corporate logos that maybe you don't know something about, that have some hidden things in them that may change how you see them forever. For instance, Baskin Robbins ice cream. They're famous for 31 flavors. That was their big deal when they were coming up. So they made their logo look like a 30 and a 1. It's pretty brilliant, right? It's got 3 and 1 right in the logo. That's pretty good. I like that. How about this one? Amazon. Everyone knows the Amazon logo. It's got the little arrow. Yeah, it's a big deal. But did you realize that that arrow is pointing from everything from A to Z? That's what Amazon has to sell to you. You'll never see that. How about this? FedEx. This is my favorite one of all the corporate logos that we're going to talk about. FedEx, you look at that logo, and it's a familiar logo. It just says FedEx, not even a truck on it. But if you look between the E and the X, what do you see? In that white space there, you see an arrow. It's pointing forward. FedEx is always on the move. I love that one. That's pretty cool. And one more I learned about that's pretty cool is the Toyota logo. Toyota's logo has every letter in the word Toyota in the logo. That's pretty nice. I like that. That's exciting. That's interesting to me. I like that. Okay, so let's get into the sports logos, the hidden things in these sports logos. There are 19 different ones. I think you're going to enjoy them. We're going to do this alphabetically just so it's, sane and doesn't drive me nuts. We're going to start off with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, there's a couple different ones here. Their alternate logo has a D and a B for Diamondbacks, but it's also the head of a snake. So that's kind of cool. And their main logo has a snake head right in the middle of the logo. You may have already known that. Maybe that was too easy. Starting off too easy. How about the Atlanta Falcons? You look at their logo, that the falcon on the side of the helmet. It's a classic logo, been around for 3, 4 decades. That's an F. The falcon is an F for Falcons. Makes sense. All right, we're going to stay in football again. We're going to NFL Carolina Panthers. You know the Black Panther logo on the side of the Carol? It's been the same logo since their inception, 1995, I think was the first, 96 maybe. Same logo the whole time, but have you ever noticed that the outline of that Carolina Panthers logo is the shape of the two states, North and South Carolina combined? That's the shape of that logo. It's the shape of the states. It's pretty cool. Then you got the Chicago Bulls going on the NBA. The Bulls logo is, again, another classic logo. How about, have you ever noticed the tips of the horns on that bull? They're red. They just gored somebody. He's got gory, bloody horn tips. Also, if you flip the Bulls logo upside down, it's a robot sitting on a bench reading a book. So that's pretty awesome. That's not cool at all. It's just weird, really. The Dallas Mavericks, going back to the NBA, Dallas Mavericks, the horse has an M right in his forehead, right in the front of his head. Did you see that before? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's one of 19 hidden things. Maybe you saw it and forgot it. Similarly, how about the Houston Rockets, whose logo has an R launching into space from a launch pad? That's pretty cool. It's not really a hidden thing, but I think that's pretty cool. What's also interesting, you may not know, like I always thought of Houston Rockets, yeah, because NASA, that's where NASA has a headquarters in Houston. They're not, the Houston Rockets are originally from San Diego, which is mind blowing. They played 4 seasons in San Diego as an NBA expansion team starting in 1967, and then they moved to Houston. How's that make sense? The Milwaukee Brewers. Now, I've shown this before whenever we were doing the Pack Extravaganza, and I came across the Milwaukee Brewers sticker logo, but that glove logo for the Brewers on their hat, that's an M, that's part of the glove, and then you got the baseball in the middle, but the baseball with the thumb, it's a B. So for Brewer, MB makes sense. And then similar to the Dallas Mavericks, the Milwaukee Bucks, they have a deer. That's their logo, right? It's got an M in the deer's neck, right in his gullet, right in his throat. What do you call that? The turkey gobbler thing? M. The Minnesota Twins logo, this is interesting just because it has a line under the word win. Win Twins. That's cool. The Minnesota Wild, I like their logo a lot. That's pretty cool. Now, the Minnesota Wild was an expansion team that replaced the Minnesota North Stars, who moved to Dallas and became the Dallas Stars. And then eventually, Minnesota got the Minnesota Wild as an expansion team. If you look at their logo, it has the North Star in the logo as an homage to the old Minnesota North Stars, a little tribute to the old schoolers. I like that. That's pretty cool. The old Montreal Expos. Remember them from the 70s and 80s and early 90s before they eventually ended up over in the Washington, D.C. area? Well, the Montreal Expos logo was that M, which everybody knows, but it also had an E and a B. So the M for Montreal, the E for Expos, and the B for baseball. Montreal Expos baseball. The New York Islanders in the NHL. Now their logo is pretty obvious. It's Long Island. It's it's not too difficult to really imagine. But the I in Islanders points up right to where Nassau Coliseum, where the Islanders play. That's where did they play? In Long Island, right there, where the I is pointing. Just follow the I. Now this one I love a lot. I did not know. Now it's not necessarily something hidden in the New York Mets logo, although their cityscape is pretty cool. I'm sure there's something cool with the skyline there that we could figure out. But what's cool about the New York Mets logo is its colors, blue and orange. Why is that interesting? Because when the Mets, they were an expansion team in the 60s, and if you recall, in the 50s, the New York Giants moved to San Francisco. The Brooklyn Dodgers moved to Los Angeles. So those two beloved New York teams headed west. So when the expansion Mets came in, they said, you know what? Let's make our colors orange and blue. Orange to represent the New York Giants and blue to represent the Brooklyn Dodgers so that they could get their fans who hated the Yankees to root for the Mets, and it worked out fabulously. The Philadelphia Eagles. Remember when I mentioned the Atlanta Falcons earlier, the hidden F? Same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles. The eagle has got his head, but it's got an E in the back of the eagle to represent Eagles or Eagles, depending on where you're from. Now we move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and their helmet really is a shout out to the steel industry, the steel manufacturers in the city of Pittsburgh. That was a factory town, still is a factory town. But their logo was the logo for American Steel, American Iron and Steel Institute. That's the steel mark logo. And the colors, yellow for coal, makes sense, right? Yellow, coal, no, it doesn't make sense. Orange for iron ore doesn't make sense. And blue for steel scrap. So that's why those colors that spark, it's a steel mark logo. Now, what's cool is in the old days when the Steelers came in, they were originally gold helmets. And they had that logo on the gold helmets. Well, eventually, they changed to black helmets. And they were much more awesomer with the logo on there. Looked much better. And it's interesting, they only have the only team with the logo on one side of the helmet. And that's supposedly because they put the logo on one side because they weren't sure how it was going to look. So the manager, the equipment manager, was told to just put it on one side and we'll see how we like it. And so then they were like, just leave it to one side. Looks good. The Washington Capitals and the NHL, this one's kind of easy. I mean, it's got an eagle, obviously, and it's kind of in the shape of a W, but underneath the eagle, it's the U.S. Capitol building. That's right up the middle of the Eagles. That's kind of neat looking. But you probably know that one. You probably saw that one. The Washington Wizards logo has the George Washington Monument right there in the middle. And then there's the Washington Wizards logo with the W beard, the W in his beard, kind of like the Mavericks and the Milwaukee Bucks. And then finally, the last one for you, the Winnipeg Jets. I think this one's kind of cool because you look at that logo, it's pretty simple to understand, right? It's got a little notch taken out of the top of the logo, and that's supposed to represent true north. It's supposed to be like a compass. It turns that whole logo into a compass, and that is a shout out to True North Sports and Entertainment, which is the company that owns the Winnipeg Jets. So that's pretty cool. A little hidden thing. All right, so let me hear it in the comments. I'm sure a lot of these you already knew, but I bet you there were a few you did not know had some little hidden things in their little logos that now whenever you see these logos going forward, you'll be like, oh yeah, he's got a M in his deer neck. I never even noticed that before, right? So let me know what you think in the comments. Whatever you do, have a happy hobby.
Surrounded by planets, asteroids.
I still don't see it.